up, everybody? Welcome back to Not Qualified. We're on video now, so if you're watching on YouTube, you can see us. If you are just listening, you can't see us and you're really lame, but please keep listening anyway. I'm Zeph. This is Joe. We are going to do another episode. So before I get started, I want to say, everybody, please go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. 5 stars would help us a ton. And secondly, got to plug this cool stuff real quick. Check it out. Not Qualified merch. We have it on zephfoster.com/podcast. You can find the link to our merch. This awesome t-shirt, which you can see if you're watching on YouTube, is thebomb.com.
It is.
So go check it out. Go buy yourself a hoodie or a t-shirt or a poster or a pair of socks or whatever you want.
It's cool stuff.
We don't actually make any profit from it, but it's just cool stuff. So go buy that.
Yep. It's just a pride thing.
Yes, absolutely. So this week we are going to talk about my favorite movie of all time. And then next week we're going to talk about your favorite movie of all time.
Yep.
So this week we're talking about the one and only Almost Famous. Directed by Cameron Crowe. This is just my absolute all-time favorite movie. Now I'm going to let you say a couple things first because you've actually seen this movie before I ever saw it. You've known it for longer.
This is coming off of... I saw this as like a middle schooler, right? So there's a lot of like music history, movie history that I wasn't aware of when I had watched it. The first time I'd watched it, I was like, oh, pretty cool story. It's about a kid who wants to be a journalist, a rock and roll journalist for the Rolling Stone, and so he follows these bands on this tour. It's a really cool story. In general.
So
having seen it since it became your favorite movie, getting to see all of the musical influence that went into the story writing, I thought was a really cool thing. And if you like music, if you like movies, there's a lot of layer and depth to this movie that goes into all those things.
Yeah. So I had never seen this movie. Somehow it slipped under my radar until last Christmas, Christmas 2019. Literally Christmas Day, I watched this movie. I had the flu, felt terrible, found this on Amazon Prime, and I watched it. And it blew me away. I mean, I cry in every movie, so it's not a big deal, but I cried multiple times during this movie. And part of the reason why, and a huge reason why it's my favorite movie, is because when I watched this, I felt like it had been made specifically for me.
Yeah.
Like, this movie appealed to everything I loved so dearly and everything that appealed to my interests in a way that I was like, this really feels like it was made for me. You knew me in high school.
Yeah.
All I listened to is early 70s yacht rock. I mean, I like Bread, the Eagles, Alan Parsons Project, all those guys, and then people like Stephen Bishop, James Taylor. Those are like my favorite artists of all time. Supertramp. That's all that I've listened to growing up. Still, those are my favorite artists, and that music has a huge role in my lifetime and a huge place in my heart. Are you frozen? You okay?
I'm trying not to make too much noise
with your crunching. Yeah. But anyway, so there's that aspect of it. There's also the fact that, like you said, this movie follows a young kid who, William Miller, right, in 1973. Who loves rock and roll, and it's kind of his escape, and he's never really fit in, and his older sister, Zooey Deschanel, leaves him her records when she runs off, and he falls in love with rock and roll, and he starts writing for magazines. He starts writing for Rolling Stone, and eventually he gets a story with Rolling Stone. They don't know he's a kid. They don't know he's just 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he goes on the road with the band, interviewing them, falls in love with this girl, Penny Lane, who's a groupie. She says she's not. She is. And that's just the adventure from there. And the struggles of the band, along with his personal struggles and balancing, like trying to, his mom and school and all that while wanting to be this rock journalist. And it feels magical. It feels magical but grounded. Like it romanticizes that era of rock and roll. I mean, this is coming from a guy who's seen the documentary History of the Eagles probably 9 times.
Yeah, I know.
It's like my favorite documentary, and I love the Eagles. the main Billy Crudup's character is definitely based on Glenn Frey, at least in huge part. Some of his lines he says in the movie are actually straight up things Glenn Frey Glenn Frey from the Eagles said to Cameron Crowe. But anyway, so that it captures this magical era, and it does it in a grounded way. It's almost like paying homage to the end of an era.
Yeah.
And one thing I love, one aspect of it is, I love when movies do this, when they subvert what you think they're going to be. Where this movie it's a love story, partly, between William and Penny Lane. He's in love with this older girl, and it captures the feeling of being a high schooler who's in love with an older girl or has a crush on a popular girl type of thing. Captures that perfectly. And she takes him under her wing and all that. But it subverts that in the sense that it doesn't end up being a love story.
Yeah.
At its core, it ends up being a story about the relationship between William and Russell, Billy Crudup's character from the band. I love that. I love that in other movies like About Time. It is a love story, but it's really about him and his dad.
Yeah.
You know, things like that where it turns out to be about a different relationship than you think. I love that. This movie does that wonderfully. The setting is awesome. The music is awesome. Great soundtrack. And it just strikes a chord that no other movie has ever done for me.
Yeah.
So there's that.
And I think it pulls off something in this category of movie that not a lot of other movies that I can even recall have done, where it's a coming of age movie where only one character, the main character, is coming of age. It's not a group of kids. It's not some wild fantastical scenario. Something that actually happened. It's based on true events.
And that's something I didn't mention, is that the director, Cameron Crowe, legendary director, who actually, this is the only movie I really like by him. But as a kid, this story is based on his life. He wrote for Rolling Stone at the age of 15. He got a cover story and went on tour with all these bands. And the band he took the most inspiration from, or his experiences with, was the Allman Brothers Band. That's who he in real life he was on tour with, and that's who the cover story was about. But almost everything here is real. Penny Lane was real. All these characters are based on real people, and a lot of the things. Pretty much everything in the movie really happened. It's just with details changed. So that's something that's really cool.
Yeah, I just thought it was cool. These coming of age movies, I mean, it's a group of kids and they go through some crazy experience and it changes them, and it's coming of age. They're going from a childhood adolescence to an adult understanding of whatever said topic, whether that be Stand By Me or even The Goonies. They have these crazy scenarios like finding a body in the woods or finding, I don't know, a pirate ship that's
in a mountain.
In a mountain. That's cool
island,
and all.
Yeah.
But it's just the one kid, right? He gets to experience heartbreak. He gets to experience, like tension and relationships. It's cool.
Yeah, and
it's a great movie.
There's nothing about it that I don't think it does well.
Yeah.
And it makes you, even for people, I think it makes everyone nostalgic. Even if they didn't live through that era. Like, it makes everyone nostalgic for a time they didn't experience. And that's something that's just weird how well that it does that. Yeah. And then it's got a classic happy ending. And it's almost, I think in a way it's almost wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Because I was reading about how Cameron Crowe, his sister really did run away and had that estranged relationship between her and their mother. And in the movie, that's healed at the end.
Yeah.
He meets his sister in an airport, which really did happen, and then he makes her take him home to kind of force his mom and sister to reconcile, which is another huge part of the movie and his character. In real life, they didn't reconcile until the movie came out. And then that caused them to finally reconcile 30 years later, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But in real life, that never happened. So it's kind of a wish fulfillment there. Mm-hmm. And then it's also a wish fulfillment in the sense that in the movie, the band stays together. Mm-hmm. They've been almost breaking up and having struggles the whole time. And then at the end, that's just resolved. They stay together.
Yeah.
The cover story's published, and then it shows them playing shows and happy again at the end, which didn't happen for any rock group ever in the history of music. So there's that aspect of it as well. But But yeah, just awesome.
Yeah.
There's not a lot for me to say about stuff like cinematography or like.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
But it was. It's not like a movie where it's in your face or it makes a show of it.
Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily color outside the lines in a lot
Yeah,
of
exactly. Yeah, it is. It's just good, and you don't notice it.
It's a story-based experience. It's not something that's
Right.
tied up in the way it tells the story, i.e., some of Nolan's films or some of the cinematography like Wes Anderson. It's mostly caught up in just the way it tells the story and what actually happened, and because of that, the soundtrack is really the only thing that I think would be noticeable in all of those realms because it's.
And the soundtrack is great.
The soundtrack is incredible. Yeah.
He knows how to use a song like. The thing that stands out to me is, of course, when Penny Lane is getting her stomach pumped because she overdosed on Quaaludes and it's playing Stevie Wonder. You know.
Yeah.
It's like a playing this really romantic song over a really horrific thing. That contrast there, but yeah, as far as cinematography goes, it's like film school, just inside the lines. But yes, I think the characters are great. The acting is top notch, and
it's a star-studded movie.
Yes,
I mean it has Kate Hudson, Zooey Deschanel, Frances McDormand, Jason Lee, Jimmy Fallon's in it.
Heck yeah, he is.
So I mean that's cool.
He still talks about this movie all the time.
Does he really?
On his show, yeah. Anytime he'll have co-stars from Almost Famous on, and they'll just reminisce about him.
That's really
But fun fact, yeah, Jason Lee's in it, and the first song that plays in this movie is the Chipmunk song.
That's
Christmas.
Funny. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really funny.
So
unrelated, Jason Lee named his son Pilot Inspector. With a K.
What do you mean? Pilot Inspect, like Pilot? Or Pilate?
No, like an airplane pilot. Inspector with a K.
Why?
Bro, I can't answer for him.
Okay. Well, Jason Lee. That's
let me
it's not as bad as
let me
Elon
add
Musk.
something to that. He is a Scientologist.
Jason Lee is?
Yeah, or
okay.
at least was. So
at the time of his son's naming.
He's clearly not the wisest of people. So
we're going to get assassinated for saying that.
Yeah, you're right. This was fun.
Peace. Hey, what time are we at? About 15 minutes? Okay, I won't say a lot more. I'll probably talk about Almost Famous in many other episodes as we go. But obviously it's my number one. It gets my highest recommendation. I've seen this just in the past year and a half or year and 3 months since I've known this movie.
Yeah.
I've probably seen it 9 times, 8 times. So, yeah. Highest recommendation. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. That's all I'll say for there. So you, final thoughts and a ranking.
Final thoughts. It's a great movie. It's an awesome, a historical movie. I mean, it does take place in the 70s, so it's really cool to see all of those parts of the era fleshed out and really divine into, and yeah, it's a great movie.
Cool.
It's not even just ignoring those aspects. It's just a fun movie to watch.
Yes,
it's just a really good story.
Well paced.
Probably give it a 19.
Cool. It's a good ranking.
Not my one, but it's good.
It's up there.
Good movie.
All right. Cool. That's all we'll say about Almost Famous. Again, leave us a review. Buy some merch. Be cool. Bye.